Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and today we are going to talk about my reading plans for 2025. So I wanted to make sure I got this out before my January TBR because you're going to see, this will explain my TBRs going forward for this year. I hope I can stick to these plans and that I can implement them and that I could maybe stick to a TBR again because it's been rough. It's been rough the last few months trying to stick to a TBR. But I love a TBR. Let's just get into what I want to do in this next year, what I want to focus on. First off, I do not give myself an official X amount of books read. I think I set it at about 200. Yeah, I set it at 200 this year on Storygraph because last year I think I read about 220 books, and I think I'm on track to read a similar number again. Actually, should we find out just for funsies? I mean, I'll talk about this officially later, I think, but let's see, where am I at? I've read 236 books so far this year, and we're not even halfway through December. I feel pretty safe in setting my reading goal at 200. That'll be fine. So a lot of these things that I've set for what I want to do each month are so that I can really finally try to tackle goals that I keep saying, oh, I want to do this, or oh, I want to do that, or I want to make sure I get this thing read or that thing read, and then they just keep getting shoved off to the side. And I want 2025 to be my get shit done year, okay? I was real gentle with myself. I gave myself a lot of grace this year. We went real easy. It was great. It was fine. I needed it, but we had a year of it, okay? It is get down to business time, okay? Okay. So first off, I'm going to be starting a year-long reading challenge for myself. I am calling this the Year of Butler and Gaskell. And basically what I'm going to do, if you watch my end of the year TBR video or end of the year tag, I talked about this there, but I am going to be alternating reading an Octavia E. Butler book with an Elizabeth Gaskell book every month this year. And I think I'm going to start with Butler for two reasons. I need to get back to classics. Classics were like my bread and butter in high school. I read Jane Eyre on my own when I was 14. I read Little Women, of my own volition when I was 12 or 13 for the first time. I really sunk into my love of reading with classics, and I would like to, of course, not make that all of my reading because I don't want that for myself, but I want classics back in my life. Again, I want to prioritize them. I want to kind of untrain some of the bad reading habits I think I got into in this last year, partly from doing BookTube, I think, and from doing reading vlogs where I put this pressure on myself to read quickly and to read as many books as possible in a vlog and to read fast, easily consumable things. And I don't want that in my reading life. And so to try to unlearn those new habits, I wanted to set myself up where I really had to sit down and focus on a classic. And Elizabeth Gaskell, I have long said, is one of my favorite classic authors, even though I've only read one book by her. I've read North and South, and I absolutely loved it when I read it. And I've always meant to go back and read more of her work. And I have, in the 6 years since I read North and South, I still have yet to do it. So this is the year. And then Octavia E. Butler, because even though I'm a big fantasy and sci-fi reader, I've never read a single Butler book. And I feel like she is classic sci-fi author status now. Yeah, right? But I was really leery about getting burnt out on a particular author if I was going to read a book by one of them all year long. So I decided to alternate. And I think I'm going to start with Butler just because I haven't read her before. And I am also really intimidated to start reading her works because I know she does not have light and fluffy content, which is fine, but I can talk myself out of doing things that intimidate me if I put it off for too long. So we're gonna pull the Band-Aid off real quick, and I'm gonna start with Butler in January, and then in February I'll read a Gaskell. I'll probably reread North and South if I'm being totally honest, because that's also been something I've wanted to do for a long time, and then a Butler in March. Gaskell again in April. You get the idea. All year round. If you're interested in joining me, let me know in the comments, because if I feel like there is some interest from other people, I might make a Fable book club. But if it's just me doing it all by my lonesome, I won't bother. I will, of course, be continuing to use my TBR jar every month. I think I'm going to drop it down to 2 books though, because I'm adding more monthly requirements, and reading the 3 has been a challenge. Even though I read so many books a month, it should not be a challenge to read 3 books that I assigned to myself, but it's been a struggle. So I'm going to drop it down to 2 and see how that goes. Maybe I'll bump it up to 3, but I think 2 is good. I am going to continue to do Buzzword Readathon this next year. I really liked, this was my first year actively participating, and I really liked doing it, and I like that it's like structured mood reading, which I think I really like. So I think structured mood reading really works for me. I'm also going to do the Betty Pages Challenge Your Shelf Reading Challenge again. If they do it again, I'm hopeful, but I also really like that. I read a couple of books that had been on my radar for a long time, but I just needed like kind of a push to finally pick up, and I just got a lot of value out of doing that reading challenge. If you're also interested in doing that, where did I learn about it? Well, I subscribed to their newsletter, so I think I found out about it from their newsletter. I think they also have it on their website, and there's a challenge page for it on Storygraph, and it's Betty with an IE, so if you're also interested, those are the places you can check it out. As always, my goal is to continue to read down my physical TBR. That's what the TBR jar is there for. I'll do the mini Clear Your Shit readathon that happens in June, and that will help with that too. I'm going to also continue to try to be very, what's the word I want, intentional with my book purchases and trying more from the library and then turning around and buying it if I love it. But in trying to go through my physical books, I am going to officially put it on my monthly reading expectations that I have to read an arc a month, because I have a little shelf next to the like main bookshelf where I put the arcs that I bring home. And I call it the shelf where arcs go to die. And I don't want it to be the shelf where arcs go to die. I want to read those arcs. I brought them home because I thought I would love them. And instead of reading them for somewhere, I don't know why I'm so bad about picking up arcs, but I am, and I need to be better. So I am going to add 1 arc a month to my monthly obligation reads. I'm also going to roll over trying to read at least 1 nonfiction book every month, because nonfiction hit it out of the park for me in 2024. I gave almost every nonfiction book I read 4 or 5 stars. They were, for the most part, all so good. I think maybe there were only like 2 or 3 that I really didn't care for. And other than that, they were all bangers. I don't know why I am so good at picking nonfiction for myself and not as good at picking fiction for myself. I wish I could transfer. I wish that was a transferable skill. I don't think it is, but I want to continue with the good nonfiction into 2025 because it was so great. And there were some months where having a good nonfiction book really saved the reading month for me. I'm also going to add reading at least 1 book off my Kobo a month, and like a book off my Kobo that was already on it, not one that I purchased in that month to read on my Kobo, which is an important distinction. I really go through phases with my e-reader. Sometimes I only want to read on my e-reader, and sometimes I don't want to even look at it. And it fluctuates all the time. I am a painfully slow reader on my Kobo. So sometimes that is where I get hung up, is because I know if I pick up a book on my Kobo, it's going to take me a while. But I still have books on my Kobo that are there because I wanted to read them and I'm not reading them. So we're going to add that to my monthly obligations in the hopes that it motivates me to read some things that have been on there for a very, very long time. And then finally, this is more of like a video concept than maybe an actual reading goal. But in 2024, I did a series on my channel every month called Wheel of Doom Picks My Audiobook, which I had fun with and struggled with. I struggled to find a format that really worked for me. The videos never did super great, so I don't know if they were very fun to watch. But again, reading down my Libro FM audiobook library is something that is important for me to prioritize. So I will be reworking that and trying to find a different format, probably one where I can mood read a little bit more, because I think the wheel just ended up feeling a little too restrictive for just where I am mentally with wanting to pick up books. And that may be a monthly series. That might make that bi-monthly, just because sometimes every month just felt like a little much. But anyways, I'm currently trying to come up with titles for that. So that's kind of like I said, that's more of a video concept than an actual challenge. But this does mean, so all the things that we just went through, that does mean that I will be putting a minimum of 8 books on my TBR every month, which feels pretty good. And obviously, like the Kobo book and the nonfiction book and the ARC, like those can all be mood reads within those parameters. And like I said, I do work pretty well with like structured mood reading. So we only have like the Butler or Gaskell book, and then the 2 TBR books that are going to be real, not strict, but like are going to be firm choices. So those are my reading plans for 2025 so far. I'm always trying to add more diversity into my reading. I don't really include that in my reading plans because that's something I'm just thinking about all year. I like to add more diversity, make sure I'm reading from perspectives of all types of people. I definitely have room for improvement. I did not do great at that most of this year. I had some months where I did great, awesome, and then I had other months where it was horrible. So that's kind of always in like the back of my mind as I'm trying to pick out books. So yeah, that's why it's kind of not listed as a thing, because it's always a thing. Anyways, if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching and spending your precious time with me. I would love to hear if you have any goals or plans for 2025 yet, or if you're just gonna kind of fly by the seat of your pants and see what happens. That works too. I debated being a fly by the seat of my pants type of reader for 2025, but decided I really wanted the satisfaction at the end of this next year to be able to be like, oh yeah, look at all the things I did. So that's what we're working with. So yeah, let me know your plans. If you want to leave an emoji to let me know you were here, let's do a check emoji, and like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye.